Oh, Jesus, dude. Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a prequel. Recently, a Cyberpunk prequel spin-off series is currently active on Kickstarter, seeking pledges to help fund it. It's called Cyberpunk Red, and currently a brand new expansion pack is active on Kickstarter so that players are able to pledge towards gaining this new addition to the tabletop series. Oh, okay. Tabletop game, no consoles or gaming platforms. Okay, so it's not even for gaming, really. It's tabletop gaming, not video gaming. So stay away from that. If you're into tabletop gaming, just know that that's something that's going into Kickstarter right now. You can go take a look at it. Okay. PS Plus, look, and I know a lot of people are probably like wondering why I felt I obviously looked off put. I have an issue with CDPR. My issue with CDPR is that I don't think they make great performing software. I think that they make subpar performing software actually, and they lean on the internet and their ability to touch games after release as a crutch, which I am not a fan of, man. I think that they put way too much into marketing and publishing, and they hype people up, and then they bait people into buying their games that shouldn't have been released whenever they were released. I think they have a trend of doing it, and it is really, really mauding to me. For a company that is so good at creating content, to do that to the their fan base, and to do that to their consumer base is terrible. And I have this huge disdain for CDPR because they do that. And I would love to see them do better in the future. But right now, I don't trust them as a video game developer. And so that's why every time I see something coming out of CDPR, I get kind of cringed out. Because I only expect the same thing that I've seen historically from that company. And people can say all they want about, well, they stuck with it and they made it into something good with these games that they've released previously. But I don't care. They shouldn't have. They are not going to get a lot of kudos from me, a lot of props from me for fixing a game that shouldn't have been broken on release. There's a difference between a game releasing and it having some issues, a few bugs here and there that were maybe unforeseen that need to be fixed. That is normal in gaming, as opposed to something that, like Cyberpunk, for example, that they released knowing it was absolutely broken. That is not acceptable. That's why I have an issue with CDPR. So I'll just get off of that now. But PS Plus August 2023, all new free PlayStation Plus games. The PS Plus August 2023 Essential games are now available for download. Here's what PlayStation Plus Essential subscribers can get in August. Furthermore, we'll tell you how you can get them. Yeah, look, I'm not saying that, like, see, that's the issue, though. that's that's the problem. So many people, and I agree. I'm glad that for the consumers, they stuck with it and they fixed it. But it seems like people give them like an award for it. You know what I mean? It seems like people give them an award for fixing their game. Well, they stuck with it. They did, they turned it into something good. I mean, they literally have gotten awards for doing it. Literally. There was like an award they got for how much, and what's up, Ferret? Exactly, but they did. They got an award for how much they fixed the game and improved the game um, for the state of it when it released. And I was like, you've got to be flipping kidding me. It was like all these other games that were in the running, and it was really supposed to be an award that was to show how much a game had evolved and how much the developer had worked on it since release, and they won. And I was so pissed because it was like they shouldn't have had to do that much work. They won an award for fixing a game that was broken on release. When all these other people that were in the running, all these other developers that were in the running for this award didn't release a broken ass game. So they didn't have to do as much work to fix a game because they shouldn't have had to. See, that's the thing that drives me nuts, man. So yeah, I mean, again, that's where I hear people say that crap all the time, and I don't really care. I'm not going to give them a ton of props and a ton of kudos for fixing a game that shouldn't have been broken on release. This is the mindset that I think that all of us have gotten into because we've dealt with it for so long. So many broken games all the time, and it's like, oh well. We've seen games die off because they were broken on release and the developer didn't stick with it. And then it's like whenever a developer does stick with a game that's broken on release, it's like, oh man, they rah for them. No, dude, no. See, I'm of the opposite, man. It's like they did what they should have done. You know what I mean? This is exactly what they should have done because they got the game to the point of what the game should have felt like when it released initially. They don't get an award for that. They're not going to get props for me for that. What they did was they actually finally gave the consumer what they paid for. You know what I mean? It's a backwards way of thinking about developers in the industry, dude. I can't do it. It's put us in a bad spot as the consumer and as video game enthusiasts, and I just don't like that way of thinking about it. I think it's a bad way to address this. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see who can release the most broken game provided. Yeah, it's exactly like basically what they gave him an award for. And then like shunned all the rest of these developers that released a pretty solid game and you know, got nothing to show for it. It was terrible, dude. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I will acknowledge they fixed it. They made the game feel like what it should have felt like on release. They did their job. They did their job of making sure the game finally felt like what it should have been like on release. But I'm not going to give them props for that because it never should have been released the way it was released in the first place. That's the thing for me. Yeah, I know. And I think that's why like what we're talking about right now I think is important. It's important to me. This is that kind of mentality, like that mindset that I'm trying to get people to understand. It's because it's been happening to us for so long. It's not the first time it happened to us. You know, we're talking specifically about Cyberpunk. You know, it's not the first time it happened to us. That's for sure. I mean, you brought up No Man's Sky. That was well before, and that's another great example. Excuse me. And it's not the last time, right? It's going to happen again. But if people don't change, you know, if us as gaming enthusiasts and the consumers of these products don't change our mindset about this particular thing, it's going to continue to happen. People keep going, good for them, good for that developer. They stuck by that game. They did a good job. No, they didn't do a good job. They did what they should have done in the first place. They don't deserve credit, right? They don't deserve credit. They don't deserve a pat on the back for doing what they should have done in the first place. They baited everybody in with their marketing ploys and their all that stuff to get people to buy it in the first place. Like Cyberpunk. Dude, they baited 13 million people into buying that game knowing it wasn't ready. That's not acceptable. And they don't get kudos. They should not get kudos. They should not get awards for finally making the game feel like the way it should have felt when it released in the first place. Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to get across to people. They don't get a pat on the back. You don't give them a pat on the back. At the most, what you say is, you finally did your job. You finally did your job. You don't get an award. You don't get a good job, guys. You get you finally did your job. That's about as far as it should go. In my book, I think that's why we've gotten into such a bad place and why so many of these companies feel like they can continue to do this crap to us over and over and over again, man. Because there's so many people that have that mindset, but they stuck with it. Dude, I've gotten so many comments on some of my CDPR videos that have been like some of these particular segments like this, where I'll rip on like CDPR or another company, and I get so many comments. Well, they stuck by the game and they turned it into something good, and they deserve credit for that, or what? It's not. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't deserve credit for the game becoming what it should have been in the first place. That's not the way this works, That's disgusting. That's this mindset that's really, put us in a bad spot, man, as far as the game industry goes, in my opinion. I don't know, man. How did the let's see, how the rest of the trip go, dude? You guys make it back all right and everything? Sorry, I know that was a rant, dude, but I mean this is that kind of thing, man, where I'm really, really adamant and passionate about the fact that I think this is one of those big issues in the way we address things as consumers and enthusiasts, gamers, man, that we have to change. Because there aren't enough regulations behind what goes on for the software developers to protect us. And if there's not that in place, we have to do it ourselves. We have to stand up and think about this the right way, or else it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, as we've seen, Didn't even get to cause it. You talking about what we're talking about right now? Yeah. I mean, dude, I've been guilty of it too. The rant. Yeah, you're right. Look, man, I mean, I've been guilty of this sentiment in the past too, but I think that, the more I've seen and taken a critical look at this mindset from myself and other people as well, I finally got to the point where I was like, dude, this is not the right way to look at this. You know what I mean? This is not healthy for us as the consumer. It really just, it's enabling these businesses, it's enabling these companies, these developers, these software developers and publishers to continue to do this stuff to us because they go, oh, well, they'll just, it'll be okay. We did it last time. It was fine. We can do it again. It'll be fine again. We'll just use the internet as a crutch. We'll patch it up. We'll work on it. We'll keep working on it after the fact. Let's meet this deadline. We know it's not ready. We'll push it out. And then we'll fix it after the fact, and then we'll get a nice pat on the back and an award for fixing the game after it was broken on release. Yeah, it's perfect. It's crazy, man.